What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nintendo Tonight podcast. I'm Thomas, as always, joined by PJ and Mac, and we have a banger for you today. We have some news, we got some hot takes, we got some music that we're not going to listen to, but we're going to talk about it because there's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on with Nintendo music, so we'll get into that. We got some banger fan questions. Thank you for everyone who left fan questions in the comment of the last podcast on YouTube, just on the Nintendo Tonight channel. Please do that again on this podcast for a chance for your question to be answered. With that out of the way, PJ, you gathered up the news stories for this week, so if you want to take us straight into the news, I mean, the only other thing I can think to even talk about before the news is today is election day as we're recording this, but I don't think we want to talk about that on the Nintendo podcast, so we will move straight into the news. Well, specifically, also a third of
Politics
us are
Tonight
Canadian.
actually is the name of the podcast now.
Yeah, new podcast.
All right, so getting into news that missed the cut today, boys. Thomas, I kind of did this for you. I'm not going to lie, because I know you're a big Rayman Legends guy. But Rayman creator has apparently been consulted for a new Rayman game. So that's kind of exciting. Obviously, we have no actual look at what that's going to be like. But apparently that's in the works. There was a lot of rumors that the series was kind of just in limbo for a little bit, and there was nothing really going on. But now this dude made an Instagram post, and he was like, oh yeah, regarding Rayman, I'm very happy to have been consulted, and it's a real pleasure to know that him and his pals are back. So that's exciting. Because again, haven't seen Rayman for a long time. Rayman Legends, banger game, so hopefully that's coming soon. Jack, if you go to the next slide, Pokemon Bros were so up. Another one here. We got another Pokemon game, TCG Pocket. Basically, gacha like trading card game thing going on. You can open a pack, you get to keep your cards. It's sort of NFT like.
I was about to make
somebody in the podcast has an NFT for some reason. I'm not going to name names, but somebody does.
Has that been exploited? Has that been?
No,
maybe
it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. It was a few years ago. We can move on past that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, all I know is that my Pikachu EX on the screen right now, visual viewers, looks a lot better than the NFT. So yeah, you can play
worth more than my
the
Space
actual
Boy.
Based. Yeah, so you can play the trading card game on this. You can also collect cards, make your own decks. It's pretty fun. So
it's
Pokemon Bros were so up.
Mac?
Yeah.
I don't even know anything about NFTs, so ouch. Yeah, Jack, he said he's grinding TCG Pocket. Look at my sweater too. I don't know if you can see that, visual viewers.
Oh, mute.
That's nice.
Tough.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's clean.
Pretty sick. Anyway, moving on to the actual news. So what is this? So essentially, if you go to the Nintendo Music, Jack, this was kind of wild. We randomly got Nintendo Music streaming service out of nowhere. Like, it's a really weird time right now. Last episode, Thomas was talking about the delusional Nintendo fans regarding the Switch 2 announcement and just how deranged some people have become due to Nintendo not announcing the console. And they see that and they're like, hey, so here's an alarm clock and here's a music streaming service? Like, what? What even is this?
Yeah.
Nintendo's being weird right now.
They're being really weird.
Weird Nintendo is alive.
They're being really weird. I have a theory. Within about the span of a week and a half, we got Alarmo, which originally was only available for Oh, brother. It's the damn Apple reactions. I give a thumbs up and it does that thing again. I'm going to do it. Hold on. Let me just one time for the one. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think audio listeners, I can't even describe what just happened. My camera's going crazy. My theory, though, is within like the span of like a week and a half, we got Alarmo, which was originally you could only pre-order it if you were a Nintendo Switch Online paying subscriber. There was the NSO playtest, which obviously you could only participate in if you are an expansion pass subscriber. And then there's the music app, which you can only gain access to if you are an NSO subscriber. My theory here is that October clearly is a big month for Nintendo when it comes to Nintendo Switch Online. They launched in October, and then every kind of October since, we've either gotten like SNES Online or the expansion pass with N64 and whatever. Like they seem to be dropping these big NSO updates in October, and obviously that makes sense because since everything has been in October, that's when people's subscriptions run out. So they want to kind of keep you in by announcing new perks for NSO Online. And we just kind of got 3 random ones thrown out this time. So yeah, I mean, that's my theory, I guess, of the reason as to why we're even getting this. It's just because Nintendo wants, like, they're not going to announce GameCube for Switch Online within like the last 6 months of the Switch's life. If anything, that's a Switch 2 thing. So they're just kind of throwing random like Hail Marys out to NSO members and just praying that no one cancels their subscription in this kind of downtime lull before Switch 2. But Nintendo Music, I like the music. The app, the free update bug has been a music streaming service.
I was about to say really quick, Mac, before you go, isn't that the most Nintendo thing ever? Basically them saying, hey, LOL, here's some music DLC for our streaming service. Like, what is that?
I got a notification the other day.
Yeah, me too. Like,
for Mario Wonder, I think it was. They're like, we added hit songs from the game Mario Wonder. It's like, oh, thank God we got a free update so I can listen to Piranha Plants on Parade. I mean, Jesus. There's just no reason for these damn updates. Like, the one thing that is kind of cool is that, like, it honestly is. The one thing that is kind of cool is that whole, like, there's a way you can, like, extend certain songs because, like, obviously there are certain songs that are like in the game they extend for an infinite period of time, so there is like a feature where you can extend the length of some songs. That's a cool gimmick. Besides that, I don't really see myself ever using this. Like I have tried, but if I'm like walking to class and I put on the Nintendo Music, I feel like it just gets me in a weird vibe for the day. So I'll just stick with my Apple Music. Thank you very much.
Well, I tried downloading it like the other night. It was like 3 a.m. I couldn't fall asleep. I was like, I'll download the Nintendo Music app. And then it asked me to sign into my Nintendo Switch Online account, and I put in the password that is saved to my phone, and it wasn't right, and I was like, I'm too tired for this, and I went to bed. I haven't used the app at all. Like, if I want to listen to music, I can just go to YouTube. Like, there's really no reason for me to use this besides the novelty of it. Yeah. But again, it's something. They're doing something which is more than nothing. So,
yeah, not exactly the announcement we were looking for here, but again, it is something. What a strange month, honestly.
It's so weird. The last thing I'll say about Nintendo Music is, in the most bizarre, tone-deaf, pun intended, and kind of weird Nintendo way possible, they credit, like, in the app, they credit they have like different playlists for, like, for example, the artists of Splatoon. So they have like Off the Hook has their playlist or whatever, like Deep Cut has their playlist. So they're crediting the fictional artists that make the songs, but no composers are credited throughout the entirety of the app. If you go to every song's like copyright or credits section, it just says copyright Nintendo and then the year the game came out. We're crediting fictional like Squid Girls and not the real life employees at your company who make these songs that you're now like, bro. That's
like, it would be cool if there was like
I didn't even know that
of songs by the like fictional groups or whatever, but like crediting them is a bit ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean they have playlists, but the fact that they have playlists like without actually crediting them, it's just kind of like bizarre. Like, the main issue is not that they have playlists of like Splatoon artists. Like, that's cool, whatever. Yeah. The fact that they went through the effort of doing that and sorting them based on fictional groups but couldn't be bothered to do that for the actual humans who composed the songs. This might be the first ever music streaming service that does not have an artist feature where you can see what other songs the artists have made or like even sort things by the artist. It doesn't make sense.
In true Nintendo fashion, they'll make an artist profile of the fictional character and not even put any of the real people that made the music on it. Watch. Yeah. That's the next big update before 2024 closes.
If we're lucky. Maybe that's a 2025 update. We got no timeline on how often they're going to be doing updates. So,
yeah. Anyway, Nintendo Music. Whole lot of mid. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so Mario and Luigi Brothership, the review embargo has kind of dropped and people are reviewing it, and it's... we're hearing some good and some really bad. Earlier this week, IGN's review kind of blew up because they gave it a 5 out of 10. And Jack, you scroll down. Go ahead. And if you scroll down in the article here, like, literally, this talks about generic dialogue, terrible performance, which for an RPG is so insane, and a mid-story
Says the man
and
in a Pokemon sweater.
Yeah, no, literally.
I was literally about to say, like, how does a RPG have bad performance? And I was like, oh, Pokemon exists. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it apparently is just a bad game. Way too long tutorials, and apparently it's just a absolute crapshoot of a game, and it's a shame. So, what do you guys think? Like, are we taking this review to heart, or is it just another IGN kind of blunder in a field of reviews that are kind of up and down?
We're gonna have to see, because, like, obviously there was the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, like, back in the day with too much water.
Yeah.
But I'm more inclined to believe this IGN review, because, like, I feel like all of the complaints that they're talking about are things I was kind of worried about, like generic story, too many tutorials. Like, you know, I feel like the other reviews may just be having that Nintendo bias we've seen in the past. We'll have to see when the game actually comes out which one is more true. I personally think it's probably a mixture of the two. But it's disappointing seeing after how long this hiatus of Mario and Luigi has been that the game isn't overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Yeah. No, completely agree with that. I think, is it probably like a 5 out, like if you look at other games IGN has given a 5 out of 10, because that's the score they ended up giving. I would, I would probably say it's not as bad as some of the other 5 out of 10 games that they've reviewed. But
yeah, 5 out of 10 is insane.
Have not played it. Have not played the game. So I am more inclined to trust Mr. IGN than anyone in the, like, none of us have played it. So I mean, this guy actually has. But 5 out of 10 seems insane, especially when looking at other IGN things. But I could definitely see this being like a solid 6.5, 7, like nothing special. That's kind of what I'm most concerned about, because also, like, long tutorials, that was the problem with Dream Team. Like, generic story, that was the problem with Paper Jam. Like, it seems like they're just falling back into the trappings of the Mario and Luigi games we had gotten long ago, when this was kind of intended to be a full, like, refresh, fresh start for the series. So a little bit disheartening to see, but I'm keeping an open mind for when I end up playing it. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm still excited to tap into the game, because I think even a kind of mid Mario and Luigi game, it will still be enjoyable to me at least. But I definitely don't think this is going to be a top tier. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, no, not really at all. I think this will probably be one that's probably forgotten along the lines of, like, maybe Paper Mario the Origami King. Like it came out, it's like some people liked it, some people didn't, and it's not really talked about ever since.
Yeah, the state of Mario RPGs is kind of weird, right? Because they try something new, and, well, I guess this isn't really quote unquote new. Like, it's more of the same problems over and over again. But they're just remaking the old games that people really loved, which is fine. And then Nintendo's done this a couple times. They'll remake a couple games to, like, gauge interest, and then they'll make a new game, and then it just is completely just not up to standard, I guess, right? Like, we see Thousand Year Door being remade, we see Super Mario RPG remade, like, for what those games were successful, were great remakes, and then people have wanted Mario and Luigi back for a long time, and they finally make a brand new game, and it's just apparently not very good. I think something that I saw on Twitter, and this is another Nintendo Land shout out, just like last episode, because we were talking about the 923 Pyoro tweet, and bro lost it for a second. But anyway, he was kind of talking about how the fact that this has a performance issue is so insane. How, like, if visual viewers, like, we're watching this trailer, it's just mind-boggling to me how this game could have performance issues. Like, it doesn't even look that graphically intensive or anything like that. And apparently, like, the guy in the IGN review was seriously stressing that, like, there were some real performance issues that weren't just ignorable. So, I mean, again, another Switch 2 point, but wow, like, I can't believe that. For a game like Pokemon, okay, like, we understand, Pokemon Company and Game Freak, like, does not have their stuff together. Like, we get that. But, like, Mario and Luigi not performing well is insane.
Yeah, definitely not a good sign. I mean, we're all waiting for Switch 2, but this is just another, like, point as to why. Like, it feels like every game that comes out now, like even Echoes of Wisdom had some pretty severe performance issues. Like, feels like every major Switch game that comes out now, it's kind of a roll of the dice whether it's even going to be like fully enjoyable, especially on like your TV. Like, a lot of times the TV, since it is trying to get a higher resolution out of the same size console, it's, it's just worse than handheld mode. And like, this was the first Mario and Luigi game you could play on your TV, but the IGN review specifically said it's not worth it. Play it in handheld because it looks terrible on your TV and runs pretty poorly. So it's just disappointing. I hope we can I hope Switch 2 has some like upscaling features where these games don't end up running so horribly when they are on Switch 2, but we'll
definitely hoping for like a NVIDIA DLSS kind of thing for Switch 2 for sure. Because
some sort of frame generation or something, or just like
100%
being able to use the higher quality architecture or whatever technologies in the Switch 2 to not have frame drops when you're looking at water on a game that takes place like on a ship. Like, it's ridiculous.
That's a little worrying. But yeah, I mean, again, there's just more and more signs that we definitely need that new console. So I'm with the boy Nintendo Land. Like, Nintendo, what are we doing? Announce that right now. Anyway,
please.
Moving on.
Optimize your games to work with the console you have right now.
I agree with that. I mean, this game, again, it does not look like it should be performing badly at all. It is so insane. I'm shocked. Like, I don't know if Nintendo needs to like outsource companies or like employees from companies like Monolith Soft for like who make the Xenoblade games for people who don't know. And like, I don't know, 2 and 3 ran pretty good on Switch, and those games like don't look horrible. So I feel like they've kind of unlocked something that a bunch of the other developers haven't. So I don't even know at this point how you solve this, because I mean it's a console wide issue, and I don't think. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a game like this in 2019 or something like that, right? Like, I don't think it's anything super, super advanced to where it's, like, world-breaking that this Mario Luigi game, now you're on a ship and you can travel to different islands. Like, I don't know. It's a little wild, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Jack, if you could pull up the segment. All right, boys, we are back to hot takes. So, last time I did hot takes... I'm not going to lie. It was pretty cold. I was like, I'm going to be honest. I was in a call with Mac last night. I was like, you know what? I'm thinking of doing hot takes. Be honest. Do you think I should again? And he's like, and I'm like, dude, just tell me. I'm not going to be offended. He was like, they actually got to be hot. They got to be hot this time, because they were pretty cold. I was like, all right, man. Got it. So we're back to hot takes. Obviously, we see hot takes, but actually hot this time. So moving on.
We will judge you on how hot these are. We'll judge you.
They'll have a Scoville scale. We'll have a Scoville scale.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so. I hope this one is hot. All right. Okay. Number 1, the Switch's lack of personality holds it back from being the greatest Nintendo console. So what do I mean by that? First of all, the Switch's home screen. Let's just start here, right? The Switch's home screen, the themes. I know this has been a repeated topic of discussion over Switch Stop, if you guys have watched those videos over the years, where we have repeatedly asked for themes. I mean, this is something that was on the 3DS, guys. We don't have it on the Switch. We're literally saying to Nintendo, guys, if you put it on the eShop, we will buy it. We will buy it. And they still don't do it. Insane. Another thing, no eShop music. This is kind of minor, but again, eShop music, very iconic. We would have loved to see that. eShop issues past the music. Hey, man, not going to bring it up, but if you know, you know. The kind of erasure of Mii's from the home screen as well. So we're kind of seeing the Mii's are slowly being kind of faded away from Nintendo to actually pull up a Mii Maker or whatever like that. You actually have to go into the settings, opposed to systems like the 3DS and even the Wii U that had a lot of character on the home screen, and with Mii's and stuff like that. They're right in the open, and they're not here anymore. Again, I'm going to bring up a game that Mac really does not like, Switch Sports. This is another example where kind of Mii's are thrown under the bus here, and the sports mates are on all of the advertisements. Again, terrible game. Like, it's not good at all. Nope. But that's just the example. Yeah, so what do you guys think?
I think this is an interesting thing to bring up, because when I think of what is Nintendo's greatest console, Switch has to be in the argument, but when you think about why it isn't, it kind of is just like a boring system. It's successful because it's got so many games and is a hybrid console, and there's nothing really else to that. It's kind of just a gaming console, which is what I think they were going for. They wanted to purely focus on gaming instead of all the auxiliary things they've done in the past, like Mii's and like interactive menus. I don't know how to answer this, because I do think the Switch is the greatest Nintendo console. I think it just is at this point. It's done too much to not be the greatest console. But I almost don't want to put it there because I feel like it doesn't have the Nintendo charm that past consoles had.
Yeah, like just really quick, Thomas. Things like Street Pass and stuff like that, especially like I love the 3DS. Recently, I just bought another 3DS, and it's a great console. Things like Street Pass, Spot Pass, and Miiverse, stuff like that. Like that. That's just iconic. Like Miiverse, kind of a crapshoot once again, but hey, it was fun. It was fun, and that's just gone. It is. Yeah, totally.
I think this is a great hot take. I would actually probably like sneaky agree with it, but I can definitely see why this deserves the banner of being a hot take, because
thank God.
I'm trying to think now if I agree with this, which I agree with the mentality of, because the Switch inherently is pretty boring, it shouldn't be Nintendo's greatest console. But I'm trying to think what one console beats it, and I can't think of one console that is better than the Switch that Nintendo's released. Like, if you combine the insane library with the ridiculously good gimmick of it being handheld and TV, I do think Switch is the best console. But I also agree with the take. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with this one here. I'm trying to think of whether or not I like fully agree. I'm gonna say I disagree. I think it's the best console, but that would make it a good hot take because it's a spicy take. It makes me think about the Switch. Like I really just, bro, why do we not have themes? Brother,
it's
a PNG
so
we will buy. It's a PNG we will buy. Like even if
it was just colors, even if it was just like a red background. Like that would be cool.
No, honestly, like
there's a theme section. There's a theme section, and there's nothing else there. It drives me up the wall.
But what's crazy, it says basic white and basic black, like there's any other black and white.
Yeah. I think Nintendo's like user interface designers were on that that good something when they were coming up with this. If you have two themes on your console, those being basic white and basic black, you do not make an entire submenu. That is called a dark mode toggle that you put on the console. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. No, I've never seen a user interface where there's dark mode and light mode, and then they just it's a whole separate menu with only two options. It's a it's a toggle. It's a toggle. This
reminds me of how Odyssey Central made his millions with the extra game styles in Mario Maker 2. How it was 3D world, and there was no
I made a video or two like that back in the day.
But what it shows is that there was definitely plans for both of them to have. There was supposed to be an extra game style. There was supposed to be more themes, but one way or another, it didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to agree with this, but I do think it is the greatest Nintendo console, so I don't agree. I would say this is a really hot take. I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 ghost peppers.
4 out of 5 ghost peppers.
All right. I love it. Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, number 2, Jack, if you could pull it up, good sir. The Switch Pro controller is the best controller Nintendo has ever made. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is the godly GameCube controller that is still alive to this day because of Smash Bros. And games such as that. Yeah, Thomas holding the Pro controller right now.
Yep, I got it.
Visual viewers. Pro controller, in terms of comfortability, I think it's the best. A lot of people will say the GameCube controller, but the Switch Pro controller is very comfortable. We got the motion controls with the gyro. We got the HD rumble, built-in amiibo functionality. I mean, amiibos at this point, guys, they're basically just glorified Funko Pops, but still, it's there. And but yeah, Switch Pro controller, I think, is the greatest Nintendo controller ever made for sure.
I'm leaning towards agree. I did rank it the best controller in my controller ranking video. I think there's a few flaws with it. Specifically, one is that it's D-pad.
I was about to say it.
Press down straight in the middle, and it that's a big problem when you're trying to play a game where you're trying to click in one direction.
Horrendous.
You'll hate the next take then. I've
played dude, when I play Punch-Out on the Switch, I use Joy-Cons because it is impossible to use the D-pad correctly in that game because you're moving it back and forth so quickly. So,
But I'm curious what this next take is.
Is it the best controller ever made? Nintendo controller ever made? I would lean towards yes. I think other arguments can be made for the GameCube controller. I think arguments can be made for the Joy-Cons, honestly, if they didn't drift. I think there's an argument there to be made.
I almost said the Joy-Cons.
It's very versatile.
I almost said the Joy-Cons, but then I said to myself subconsciously, I was like, I don't believe that. Because, Mac, do you remember that clip when I used to stream a long time ago where I was
playing... It might
playing,
be the greatest clip ever.
Literally. Okay, so Thomas, I don't know if you know this. So I was streaming Animal Crossing. I was like, all right, chat, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I put the Joy-Cons down. I'm at my house or whatever. And then I come back from the bathroom at my setup and I'm at the museum. My Joy-Cons drifted me all the way to the museum.
Which was all the way across the map.
It
took him all the way over. It was so funny.
That is so funny.
I
don't know if we have it.
It's on my my Smashcast channel somewhere, so I'll have to find it eventually. But it'll be difficult to find. But yeah, for sure.
Jack's saying if we can unearth this clip, it'll be put somewhere in the episode, maybe at the end or in the segment, which all y'all should be subscribing to see the segments because we will be uploading a segment of this. But yeah, okay. My initial thoughts are I tentatively agree because I think that the Pro Controller just does so much right. It's not trying to take a big swing like a lot of Nintendo's other controllers that are more innovative, but everything that it does is pretty much perfect. The motion controls are great. The HD rumble's great. I haven't personally experienced any drift on the analog sticks. D-pad, horrendous, but that's just one flaw. Everyone gets one flaw. I think pretty much everything about the controller is good, but it's going up against some stiff competition. I would put the Wii U gamepad up damn close to the top of this. I would put the
That's
Wii
a
U
hot take.
I would put I would put the Wii U Pro controller right underneath the Switch controller, and the only reason it's not at the same level is because it doesn't have any gyro. But I think the Wii U Pro controller actually feels a little bit better than the Switch controller. I like the placement of the sticks; both of them are at the top, and I like the battery life on that one is technically better. It's 80 hours or something nuts. But hell, even the Wiimote, man, the Wiimote for what it did was absolutely perfect. It was simple. You could turn it horizontally and get a traditional.
It did need an attachment to get the motion even better, but
yeah, well, yeah. No, I think I agree with this though. I think it's the best controller Nintendo's ever made. It's a good take though, because there's definitely counter arguments that
even
are
the
more than
SNES controller. I think is perfect for what it's going for.
True.
I think it does everything perfect on that controller. But is it the best? No, because it doesn't have great handles. It doesn't have sticks, even though games back then didn't need them.
Yeah.
I'd go for Pro Controller. So I think we all agree on this one.
Yeah, see, I think what I should have done originally, what this was the Switch Pro Controller is the best controller ever made. I almost did that, so I should have. But, yeah.
I'm trying to think what beats it then.
Xbox
so the first thing I was about to say,
wins.
the first thing that comes to mind is Xbox 360. It's just so good. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great controller when your console doesn't have the red ring of death and bricks itself a couple weeks after getting it. So
my dad went through 3 Xbox 360s growing up because it got the red ring of death all the time.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, Jack. Before we move to the next slide, I remember there were some D-pad haters here talking D-pad when you press down on the D-pad. God, I hate it. Jack, if you go to the next slide. Super Mario 64 DS is better than Super Mario 64. And no, I don't care about your D-pad slander. I don't care.
5 out of 5 peppers.
Don't care.
5 out of 5 peppers. This is the hottest take I've ever heard. This is like, actually, you know what? I will let you, please defend your point. Please defend your mindset.
Okay, so this is kind of crazy, I know, but I just love the characters, right? The first Mario 64 kind of edition that I played was 64 DS, partially why I have this take. And I just love, you start out with Yoshi, you unlock all the characters, the more stars are there. Just a iconic game for my childhood. I just love it so much more than 64. I never minded the D-pad really that much. I literally 100% of this game multiple times, and I never found that the D-pad was a hindrance to me. And keep in mind, this is on my black DS Lite that has a broken hinge. So talking about a scuffed gameplay experience, that has to be probably at the top right there. And also the iconic mini games. It's a bit of a small point, but 64 DS has some really fun mini games. The Luigi Casino and stuff like that, super fun. The Yoshi, She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not. That's an iconic one too. Many memes made from that. So I just think 64 DS, I'm not going to say clears original 64 by a super wide margin, but I know it's a hot take that I think 64 DS is the definitive version of Super Mario 64.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great hot take in the sense that this is one hot of a take. I would disagree solely based on, I think realistically, the benefits that 64 DS has, and it does have benefits, are not actually that big of benefits, if that makes sense. I think the new characters thing is pretty cool, but I think it's pretty clunky the way it's done. The fact that you start off with Yoshi is a little odd, and like the whole switching characters thing, I think didn't necessarily click with me. I also think from what I've played of that game, I don't think I've 100%ed it, but the new stars were almost always some of the worst stars in that game, in my opinion. I just did not think they were that
150 is better
fun.
than 120. Haha.
You're technically right, yeah. And then D-pad slant. If this take was literally just boiled down to the D-pad does not affect my Super Mario 64 DS gameplay experience, I would still say this is probably the hottest take you've had so far, because I cannot get behind the fact that the game that was created to demo off you moving around in 3 directions with the analog stick is playable on a D-pad that has 4 directions and like no camera control other than like I think you can use the touchscreen or like maybe the like L and R buttons.
Is it 64 though if it doesn't have terrible camera control? I mean, at least they stayed faithful.
That's true. That it is a faithful remake in that regard.
That's a good point.
But moving like trying to, I guess you technically do have 8 directions because you can press like up and left on the D-pad to move diagonally to the up left. I don't know what you know how to.
I know
say
you mean.
that
I know you mean.
Like technically it does have the right movement, but I just can't get behind. I can't in good faith say that it's even remotely close to playing on an analog stick. I don't think the benefits of like more stars does not outweigh the controls, which are just horrendous in my opinion. But I'm glad they worked for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, personally, I think it's an okay take to have. I think it's cool that they were able to bring the first 3D platformer game to a handheld almost like a decade after it was brought to home consoles. I think that is super, super impressive. But it just falls short in what I want out of a Mario 64 experience. If I'm going to go play Mario 64, I'm going to go play on the original game because it's just, I play that game for the movement. It's got the second best Mario movement in any game of all time, I believe, just behind Odyssey. I think there's just a lot of charm to the original. Like that may be a weird thing to say, but like I like the crappy graphics in that game. I don't need to be playing as Yoshi and Luigi and Wario, and like even a lot of the stars you are required to use certain characters, which just takes me back to in Sunshine, the blue coins having to go into different episodes. It's got the same feel to it. Again,
maybe that's why PJ likes it. As a resident Sunshine fan.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad take. When I first read it, I was like, this is crazy. But I think I think it's a fine take to have. I personally disagree, but I'm not super upset about it.
Yeah, I think, and we've talked about this before, just like chatting in VC and our server and stuff like that. Just about like fundamentally in video games, like I don't care for games such as Melee in terms of like playing it today and kind of like appreciating how like fluid the movement is, because at the end of the day, like that game was rushed and people love it because it is broken. And I think I'm not going to go that far for that's why people like 64, but in terms of your movement point, 64 has good movement in terms of like just kind of as an accident, to where Odyssey is intentional. Like it is created to have that movement kind of with Cappy and everything like that. So like, obviously I know we fundamentally disagree like on like as like a gaming point.
I fundamentally disagree.
They don't know about that yet.
That'll be coming up in new stuff.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Anyway, so that is the end of hot takes. Hopefully that one was better. I had to kind of bounce back.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
That was good.
I liked it.
Ooh, rate the last take, he's saying.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a.
You give it a 5?
I give it a 5 because I think in terms of like hot, like 5 being like the most controversial, this is probably the most controversial one you've had.
No, that's a good point. I think a lot of people would disagree with this one, so I'll probably give it a 5 as well.
Lovely. Yeah, you know what? It was so perfect. How you guys brought up the D-pad with the Pro controllers, like it was all planned and got right into the 64 DS. Yeah, we'd love to see it. All right, moving on to the fan questions here. So we've got 2 today. Again, like Thomas said in the intro, make sure you guys leave a comment below on the YouTube video if you are on, obviously, the YouTube side of things, giving us fan questions, because who knows, maybe you'll be in an episode. Also, at Twitter or Discord, whatever, put it in there and we will answer the questions. So first question here from Game Tendo. What a name. Question: what do you speculate Nintendo could do for Mario's 40th anniversary? Obviously, we know for the 35th anniversary, they did 3D All-Stars. So what could they do for the 40th anniversary?
That would be 2025, no?
Yep.
That would be next year.
New Mario Kart and new 3D Mario. Book it.
Both.
Yeah. Both is crazy.
I think it's extremely likely we get one, but both is insane.
I'm insane.
I don't know about both.
I think my logic, and hear me out here, and this is, I would give this about a 40%, realistically about like a 25% chance of happening, but I'm going to say it's happening because I think it's fun. I am thinking we launch with a new 3D Mario, and if the console launches around June, as I so eloquently predict, and I will be right, I think we launch around June with a new 3D Mario, and then I think holiday Mario Kart 9 is the big one.
See, I think they would switch. I think they would go Mario Kart launch and 3D Mario for holiday, because I feel like when you get a new console, you want that multiplayer experience right from the get-go.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think, considering we got the Booster Course Pass so recently, like there's no real explanation for it. It's just kind of my opinion. Like it's not like a fact or anything. I just feel that just because we've had that DLC semi-recently, I think they would give us a new 3D Mario instead, because the last time we had like a actual new 3D Mario that's not Bowser's Fury was 2017. So I feel like launching with a new 3D Mario, I think I'm on Thomas's side. I think that makes sense. Both, though, in the same, I don't know, new Mario Kart and 3D Mario, that's a crazy take. That's a hot take right there.
Hey, we got a new Mario Kart, a new 3D Mario, and 3 old 3D Marios for the 35th, if you count Mario Kart Live Home Circuit and Bowser's Fury as new entries into their respective series, which you got to really squint. Oh, yeah, dude. That game's so fun, actually. You know what they should do? Okay, here's how they're going to celebrate Mario's 40th. Mario 40, it's Mario 35, but 5 more players, and it's available for 40 minutes. To really hammer in the
and then whoever gets the most points in those 40 minutes gets $40.
No, that's too much, bro. You think they're going to do that? They get 40 My Nintendo gold points.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, Nintendo, please. I think the main thing they're probably gonna do is that dang Mac, you would know this more than I would. The freaking, what's it called? Epic Universe Orlando. That drops next year, right?
Yes. It
Oh.
does.
Super Nintendo World plus the new Donkey Kong expansion. That's, they call it Super Nintendo World. Someone gets confused because that's not Super Nintendo World. That is a Mario with like a couple of Pikmin like animatronics scattered throughout. So it is a Mario World for all intents and purposes. There's no other Nintendo stuff there. Maybe some like Zelda merch, but I wouldn't even really think that's probably the case. From everything I've seen, it's all Mario. So I think that like kicks off the celebration, quote unquote. Then we get a new 3D Mario, and if we're lucky, we get a Mario Kart game. Although, low-key, maybe Mario Kart comes 2026 and we get like a Mario Sluggers instead. I'm not entirely sure, but...
Ooh, that would be so good. I mean, I'm just kind of scared, right? Like, it's a very cautiously optimistic thing every time Mario Sports is brought up, because the last couple of games have just been so damn mid. Like, it's the same thing over and over, releasing Undercooked and just adding in the DLC to basically complete the game. And then at that point, everybody's kind of over it. I don't know. Strikers Battle League most recently was not very good. And I think probably my worst take of all time in the history of Nintendo Tonight was after that Direct where Battle League was announced. I was like, I think this could be a contender for Game of the Year. And then
you did
just
say that.
I did say that. It's insane. And yeah, it was not. Just before we move on, I think I want to know what you guys think about this. 3D All-Stars, right? We got that. It was a limited time sale. Can't get it on the eShop anymore. And if you want a physical version, be prepared to pay at least, $120 US for a copy online or at your retro gaming store, which is insane. Do you guys think that it could come back in any capacity for the 40th anniversary?
God. If it comes back, low-key, I think I'd be disappointed
I would love
in
that.
Nintendo.
Really?
I would, grow a pair of mushrooms, man. If you're gonna release this thing that's like a limited time game and advertise it as limited time, and then you get like scalpers marking it up and everything, and then you bring it back, what is the point of that? Like, what is the point of that at all?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd be like upset, especially if they added like Mario Galaxy 2, please, Nintendo. Like, if they added something to it, then sure.
What if they did that? What if they just released Galaxy 2?
They honestly could.
Just by itself?
Yeah, do you think, in that case, then maybe Mac is right? Maybe it launches with Mario Kart because of this multiplayer theory that Mac has going on. We get a Galaxy 2
and they give us
HD,
Galaxy 2.
and, like, they reveal the next 3D Mario, but it is down the line. Although I think we gotta get it 3D Mario at launch. I can't see any other way this goes down.
I agree. Yeah. All right, we can move on to the next one. Another Mario question. All right. Question here from Mr. Cheesy Toad. What new gimmick do you want for the next 3D Mario? Gimmick meaning something akin to Cappy, Luma Spin, Flood, etc. Of course. What do you guys think? Do we think we're gonna see anything returning? Yeah, that's a great username. Anything returning here, or do we think once again all new?
Well, if it's Odyssey 2,
is Cappy dead?
If it's Odyssey, I don't think Odyssey 2 will ever exist, though. I think Odyssey is in the grave. I think they're moving on. It's got to be something. I'm still in the camp that the next one will be like a Bowser's Fury like expansion, not expansion, but like in that direction, which makes me think it's going to be some traversal thing, like kind of we had Plessy, but I don't think it'll be Plessy. It may honestly just be like Yoshi and you ride Yoshi around. Who knows? But I think it'll be something like traversal based. But I don't know, because a lot of them have to do with the actual platforming. Like Cappy, you've got the cap jumps. Luma, you got the spin jump. Flood, you've got, the hover nozzle.
Cappy is kind of the ultimate power-up because it not only includes the movement / like traversal aspect of it, but it acts as a power-up in itself, because that's what every capture in that game was. It was a power-up disguise. Like, you couldn't get a fire flower, but you could capture a fire bro. So in order to one-up themselves, they kind of have to come up with something that does both again, which I'm not entirely sure how they would do. Maybe it's something along the lines of, like, Mario can, like, shrink or grow, which then changes the levels, because this would also, it's not, directly related to Bowser's Fury, but in Bowser's Fury, you did get the Giga Bell and then grow massive, and then the entire Lake Lapcat was, like, really small, and that was, like, your final boss arena. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on this one. I'm not entirely sure exactly what they would do because for so long I was just like, oh yeah, it'll be Odyssey 2, and now I don't think that's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
I almost can't even see the next 3D Mario without Cappy. Like, Cappy was so integral to his moveset in that game that, like, I feel like anything else, even him not being there, is a regression.
Yeah, well, because, like, the removing the ability to do, like, cap jumps immediately makes the movement 20 times less fun. That's how fun Cappy was. So I maybe they include some power-up that gives you a similar, like, maybe there's like a Cappy power-up where you can't capture people, but you then get like the bouncing ability, like where you can cap bounce and stuff. Mm-hmm. But because I definitely agree, I think they definitely should bring back Cappy in terms of like the movement, but I don't think it's gonna be an Odyssey 2. And if they're not doing Odyssey 2, they're not bringing back Cappy in terms of like the captures. So I think they'd have to bring back the movement that Cappy gives you in a different way than Cappy himself. But I'm not entirely sure how they do that.
Yeah, like Max said earlier, I mean, Odyssey has some of the best movement in the series, hands down. I feel like Nintendo in a lot of their franchises just are suffering from success just in terms of where do you go from here. Like, again, Tears... DJ Khaled, yeah. Just in terms of, like, games like Tears of the Kingdom are just so grand and amazing and does so many things right. Even games like Odyssey and introducing Cappy, like, where do you go from here? So it's definitely an interesting question. I don't know if they would completely kind of ditch, like, the quote-unquote gimmick and then go a full Bowser's Fury style, but I don't know. Mac, you've had that take for a long time, so I'm curious to see if that actually becomes true, because I think that'll be interesting. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be basically just Bowser's Fury, but longer. I'd hope that it's a bit more polished, but I don't know. I really want Cappy to come back. I mean, I know in the last hot take segment I said Odyssey 2 isn't happening, but I'm still holding out hope. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm holding out hope just a little bit.
Well, if it's the Switch 2, then it would make sense
Odyssey
to have
2.
Odyssey 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, be sequel to a sequel,
But what if it's the Switch attach?
Mario attach.
To what?
I don't know.
Goomba. You just attach to every enemy. Mario got really sticky. Don't ask how, but everything he walks into gets attached to him. That's like, Anyone listen to what was it? Eternal Take 2? That sticky song's on that, right? Or am I bugging? All right, never mind.
Nope. That is the Tyler the Creator one.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
I didn't listen to either of those new albums.
Me neither. I just saw
no
the
disrespect to
track list.
Tyler. Full disrespect to I like Uzi's old stuff, but I heard
I've heard it's mid.
Yeah.
Heard it's mid.
Dare I say.
Anyway, end of the fan questions. Thank you guys for sending them in. Really appreciate it. Make sure, again, comment down below. Fan questions.
Yes,
and next episode's exciting, guys.
Oh,
very exciting.
What's going on next episode?
I think
we actually should probably confirm it with said individual.
He said he's coming on.
He's coming on. And I've got the plan for what we're doing. So I haven't written it down yet, but I know what we're doing.
So you got concepts of a plan.
I have. Yes, sir.
Someone take the mic from me because I will start. I'll get political. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Politics Tonight. If you want to hear more of our Nintendo content,
thank you.
Go check us out on all of the audio platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer. We are on there somehow.
Yeah.
Also, give us a 5-star rating because it really helps us out, I think.
We got to bring back the 5-star ratings.
Downloads. I think downloads help too. Just do all the things. You probably don't want to hear any more plugging, so we're going to end the episode. Thanks, everybody, for watching episode 68 of Nintendo Tonight, and we'll be back for episode 69.
Nice.